All right, so I'm gonna give a little bit of update on the 51, what I'm doing to it. I actually made videos as I was doing this work yesterday, but for some reason I had my microphone turned off. So all the videos I did as I worked, I didn't record anything, any sound. So, and I have a couple time lapse videos I'm gonna put on the end of this video to kind of show you the work as I did it, and see how long it took me. I probably put in a good, I'd say 5 hours of work yesterday doing this. So what I did is I used, I'll walk over here. I used some paint removal from my angle grinders, these paint removal pads. Here's what these are here. Here's a new one. Here's one that's obviously used up. I bought these on Amazon for about $1 a piece. They are a lot better than the $2 and $3 ones I saw at Lowe's and Menards, and I got them in 10 packs. So I used. Let me see how many I used today. I used 6 of them. So I think they hold up a lot better for this kind of work. What I'm doing, I would suggest that. I did not use any chemicals to remove the paint off the car because, quite frankly, I don't have that great of ventilation here. You can probably hear a fan moving in the background, but this garage, my kids' bedroom's right above it, and I've spilled gas on the floor, and I can smell it in my kids' room before. So, for whatever reason, I don't get great ventilation here, so I just didn't want to do the chemical thing. And this seemed to work just as good. That chemical stuff is a mess, and it's gooey and goppy from when I've used it before. So, I just thought using the paint remover scrub pad would work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to epoxy this first because this did have some pitting. Most of the surface rust came off. So the discoloration you see in the steel all over this place, this kind of like, I don't know, yeah, discoloration is that's where the surface rust was at. Like I can't catch my finger on any of that. I think it's going to seal right up. And I'll show you my guys' trunk deck that I already did. And show you how that looks. It come out pretty good, but all this stuff, and hopefully you can see this in the video, this is actual pitting that, the rust was a little tougher in some of these spots. And for whatever reason, it seemed to concentrate right along this ridge of the car on both sides. So as you walk up to it, you're going to see it. You're going to see this, the rust on it. And adjust the lights a little bit so we can see a little bit better. I don't know why we got that black lines in the, yeah. Anyways, so if you guys can see this really close, that's all pitting. This is all got to be filled in with filler. I really wanted to kind of avoid using filler in this car too much, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. It just needs. I don't want to see this pitting, right? So it is deep enough where it'll show up, even with the epoxy sealer and everything else. It needs to be filled, and I'll show you guys on my trunk deck how that worked. So some lessons learned. The paint scrubbies are pretty good. They came off pretty fast, but they do cause a decent amount of heat when you're doing it. And I'm really weird about worried about the metal distorting from the heat, like when you're welding and such. So I kind of had to move around a lot. You might see me on the time lapse videos doing that too, where I'll be in a spot and I'll move to another spot and come back to that spot, and it'll look kind of funky sometimes. But I do that because I just don't want to have a bunch of heat concentrated in one spot. Like I said, I don't know if that actually is hot enough to distort the steel or the metal, but I was better safe than sorry kind of thing. And another lesson learned, and I kind of forgot about this, even though I knew about it. Let me get my flashlight so you can see better here. Is that they had these lead seals. You guys don't know, they have lead seals right here from this kind of this back door post, and it goes all the way down the doorpost by the trunk deck. And I knew this because I have a 53 and a 54 that this lead is lifting up on it. So I'm using my flashlight here so you can see a little bit better. So you see that really shiny metal right there? That is lead. And guess what? Lead is really soft. So when you start sanding lead with one of these big scrubby pads, I kind of screwed it up. I was more careful on the other side because I forgot it was there than I remembered. So it ended up being pretty wavy. I can feel where I kind of pushed too hard with the scrubby pad on that spot. Yeah, so I kind of screwed that up a little. I'm not sure how I'm going to fix it yet. I'm not going to learn how to lead. I know that these guys on YouTube make that stuff look really easy and fun and all that kind of stuff, but man, oh man, I might try filler there. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet because I really kind of you can almost see it how much I gouged up this lead. The other side I was more careful, did more bigger sweeping moves with the scrubby and the sandpaper, so it didn't bother as much. But here I kind of forgot about it, so I'm gonna have to repair that a little bit. But yeah, for the most part, got all the paint off the whole body of the car. I'm probably gonna go back over it with some sandpaper, of course. Now you kind of notice that some places I didn't do Like right here, I didn't go and sand all this. You won't see this. It's just primered anyways. That was actually not painted. It's not even green because the car was green at one point. Excuse me. So I'm not gonna sand every little square inch. I didn't sand the trunk decks or the trunk floors or the lighting in here is really bad. Or the floors in here. I'm probably just go back through and it's just kind of. I already kind of rattle canned and sealed it with the Rust-Oleum, but up here, you're gonna see it like this is the original green, right? I'm not going to go and strip all this. Now, this is, to do a real restoration, you probably should go and strip all this stuff down to steel and start from scratch. But actually, let me show you guys what I did. I did a trunk deck with this epoxy already, and this is the trunk deck. Let me turn this fan off. This is the trunk deck. So, the trunk deck, I stripped down the steel just like I did the metal, or down the paint and primer right off, down to bare steel. And then on the back side of it, I did some test spots. Half of it I washed with like soap and water, and the other half I just sprayed it, just to kind of see what the epoxy would do, how it would stick, that sort of thing. So, I don't know, I'll show you these pits. So even after I painted, did the epoxy, and I hope it's showing up in the video, you can still see and feel these pits. Not as bad, but you can see them. And when I painted this with the epoxy, it had all that discoloration that you see on the other part of the car from the other surface rust, and that is all gone. You don't see any of that. This actually ended up. Let me get a flashlight here. You see a little bit better. This ended up with a really good finish. Like I feel comfortable, scuffing this and priming that kind of thing. But obviously these pits, I'm going to have to fill that just real lightly with some filler to get rid of that pitting. But the rest of that discoloration that you see on the rest of the car was on this trunk deck as well. And you're not seeing, and it did not leave a mark at all. So it worked out pretty well. And mostly this trunk deck is where is rusted where the chrome and stuff was, with the exception of this little spot here. I'm trying to shine the light so we can get this in the video really well. All right, so when I showed you on the other side of the deck, like I said, what I did is I painted the I painted half of it, or sorry, washed half of it with soap and water, and the other half I didn't even touch it. I just like left the grime and the grit and the whatever on, just because since I have a trunk deck and who cares, and I want to see how it worked. This stuff did a phenomenal job. So you really can't tell. You're gonna see some messy spots, like black spots. I went back after I epoxied this and really got the like the rust the rust sealer up in the crevices. I didn't do a very good job before I did it with the epoxy, but I went back and did it. But anyways, this epoxy stuff sealed like a charm. I'd be hard pressed to find to see which side I washed down with soap and which side I didn't, because you just don't see it, because this stuff does that good of a job of kind of sealing the blemishes and such on the trunk. So again, I know the video probably doesn't show it as well as it could, but I would have no problem coming through and scuffing this and priming it right now, and it does a phenomenal job. Like I said, so what I'm going to do is the spots that were in good shape that didn't have any surface rust, like these underneath where the hood was closed and underneath the panels, I'm just going to go back through and epoxy that. I'm going to probably just scuff it up, actually wash off the scum and dirt a little bit, maybe put some just some rust knocked down in these, these little spots like this. They're just rusty. But knock that stuff down, clean it off, and then epoxy shoot that too. So, and if you're wondering why the glass is still in, I'm scared to death of taking this glass out, just from experience from other cars. And these are not just flat pieces of glass I can go have made. These are, custom pieces that I don't want to have to replace. So I'm going to try to do this whole project and not take the glass out. The rubber's in pretty good shape, but I'm just deathly afraid of taking those out. So I'm going to tape them off and just paint around them and hope I can do that and not have to take them out. Now, obviously, I need to take the antenna off. I forgot to do that. I'll probably going to need to leave the wiper arms in there. But everything else has been stripped off this car anyway, so I'm not worried about it. Probably just the antenna. But anyways, I'm going to make that work with the window. So that's my plan. I already kind of shot the, the front frame area here and the firewall. I'm not going to worry about that too much more. I'm kind of calling that finish kind of done. So I'm just moving on to the body part of it and then trying to epoxy it. And I'll show you guys how it goes with the epoxy, and how it goes with the filler. Like I said, I don't want to put Bond all over this thing, but those little pits, those need to be taken out and fixed. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. Hopefully, hopefully I help somebody out there try to do this stuff by their own. Oh yeah, of course all the tarps is just covering up my tools and my stuff on the shelf so it doesn't get dust everywhere.